Hey, what's up, guys? It's Bakes here with day number 25 of my 31 Days of Horror. Today's movie, we're taking a trip back to 1980 with an Australian film. Today's movie is titled Nightmares. This is my Umbrella Entertainment copy. I used to also have a copy by Severin. I doubled up on this movie. I think I got rid of it, but I'm sure media collectors out there know sometimes you have so many movies you forget what you already own. So I know I doubled up on this movie. I think I got rid of my Severin copy, but nevertheless, I'm rambling, doesn't matter. Either way, before we get into my thoughts of Nightmares, let's quickly go through the plot of this movie. So the movie opens with our lead as a child, maybe like a 6, 7 year old, and she walks in on her mum doing the deed with some guy, and she just sort of leaves the room, and I don't know, it was a bit weird. And then she wakes up in the backseat of a car. Her mum's driving, it's late at night, she's on this road, and she tells her, go back to sleep, go back to sleep. And I'm not sure if it's meant to be the same guy that she was fooling around with earlier, but there's a guy in the front seat who is now fooling around with her again while she's driving. And our lead, as the young girl, as I said, I think she sort of gets mistaken with the fooling around as being attacked. So she reaches forward for the man and says, don't do anything to my mum, whatever. And they end up having an accident, and the mum dies. The little girl wakes up in hospital, and this part's like really fucking bleak and mean spirited. The guy, I presume the little girl and him don't know each other, but he just gets down in her face and he goes, "You killed your mother and it's your fault." It's like, what the fuck? Either way, time has passed. She's now grown up, and she's a stage actress, and she's going for this role in this new play. And the production starts up, and the cast end up getting picked off one by one, and we're trying to figure out who the killer is, I guess, somewhat. I'll get into what I mean by that as I get into my thoughts, but as I said, today's movie from 1980, Nightmares. So if you're not too familiar with this movie, or just in general have never seen it before, you might be wondering what type of horror movie this is. It's essentially a slasher. It's kind of like an Australian attempt at a Giallo also. It's got many elements of what makes up a Giallo in this film, so it's kind of got that going for it as well. Watching this movie, it's very similar to a film like Stage Fright, if you've seen that movie. Fuck, I love Stage Fright. It's been forever since I've seen it as well. I miss the big owl head as his mask. Yeah, what a cool movie, but I'm rambling again. Like Stage Fright, it's got this stage play setting, which I think is really cool as well. The whole plot of this movie is like the cast and the crew are getting picked off, and very similar to Stage Fright, as I was saying, but I'll stop comparing the two now. I've actually seen this movie more than Stage Fright, and I think Stage Fright is better. But again, I just said I'm going to stop talking about Stage Fright, and I'm going to now. This movie has got plenty of nudity. I'll start with that, I guess. It's got girl bits, it's got boy bits. And it goes into very close detail as well. There's parts of this movie where it's pretty much porn. Boob groping, cheek squeezing, up close muff rubbing. It really gets into it. It's always like these old school Australian films that really get into the nudity. What was I watching not too long ago? I was rewatching Patrick, and man, these like throwback Australian exploitation movies always got dick swinging and everything. So that's a place to start. Got plenty of nudity and all that in here for people that like that. So like I said in my introduction, we've sort of got the whole scenario of the cast and crew getting picked off. Like I said before, it's got lots of elements of what makes up a Giallo. The faceless killer. We don't know who is doing the killing. It's got that sort of mystery behind it. But to get into the mystery, to me, there isn't really much of one, because what I mean by that is it's not really a case of who, it's more of a case of why, because very early on, they don't say it in black and white or anything, it's just that obvious. We know who the killer is, so there's not really too much of a mystery going on. It's more of just got the feel and the beats of, as I said, a Giallo and all that. So don't get too in your mind that it's going to be this crazy twist or anything like that going on. If you really break down this movie, it is kind of boring at times. It gets a bit tiresome and repetitive. The one thing that, I feel like keeps this movie building as it goes is I feel like the point of view kills, again a beat from a Giallo type of film, are pretty good, and they get better as they go. There's lots of blood, as I said before, lots of boobs, put them together. Everyone loves horror movies from the 80s for that reason. There's a few good chases as well, so I feel like that's a good element to keep watching the film. It's not very long, it's only 80 minutes, but as I said, through the middle it does get a bit tiresome and repetitive, but the kills and all that get better as they go. But I did want to put it into your mind, guys, don't get too in your head that there's going to be like this crazy over the top mystery and twists and turns and everything, because I feel like it is actually quite obvious. Even though they don't say in black and white who the killer is, it is pretty clear from the get-go, really. So like I was saying before, this movie isn't anything too flashy with its story, but I also find the editing in this movie to be a little bit off. I find the editing and cutting from scene to scene to be a little bit choppy, and it comes across as quite jarring and at a point distracting. A lot of it is like fades to black, and then it stays black for a couple of seconds and then fades back into scene, and then again it will fade to black, stays black for a couple of seconds, and then fades back into the scene. As I said, it becomes distracting at a point, and it kind of also feels like some scenes in between are being chopped and taken out, and I don't know, it just seems a little bit clunky. There's typical things that some people might point fingers at. Cigarette burns pop up on screen and real flickers and whatever, but they've never really bothered me. But I just find the editing in this movie to be slightly off as well. I guess that's really it. I'm going to sort of wrap up my review now. This movie, I do kind of have a soft spot for it. I've seen it maybe 2 or 3 times now. And it's not, to be honest, the greatest movie ever. As I was comparing it to Stage Fright before, Stage Fright is much better than this movie, and really the only 2 comparisons is sort of the who is the killer. This movie doesn't do it great. As I said, it's more of a why rather than a who in this movie's scenario. They've both sort of got Giallo elements, and the setting of the stage plays and everything. Stage Fright is a much better movie, so I didn't want people thinking that, if you love Stage Fright, you're going to love this, or vice versa. But to wrap it up, to give this movie a rating out of 10, I'm going to give it a 5.5, a generous 5.5. I was really thinking of 5, but as I said, something about it makes me come back and watch it and, somewhat enjoy it at least. So, that's enough for day number, 25 of my 31 Days of Horror, guys. If you've seen Nightmares, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Again, thank you guys if you have been watching all my episodes of my 31 Days of Horror. Even if you haven't and this is just your first episode, or you're tuning in and out picking what episodes to watch depending on what movie I'm reviewing. But thanks guys, and I'll see you tomorrow for day number 26. Peace.